A new push in college sports to cover costs beyond tuition, books and fees for NCAA athletes. On top of their full-ride scholarships, how about a stipend? That is the proposal. NFL agent Eugene Lee joins us right now, as he often does, to comment on football and occasionally other sports too. Eugene, welcome back.
Hi, Stuart.
Now, this is a proposal, right?
That's true.
And it will be a stipend. I don't know how much, but it's just a limited stipend, like for spending money, right?
That's correct.
You approve?
I do. I approve 100%. These student athletes, a lot of which come from lower income backgrounds, are generating huge revenues for schools. The estimated BCS payout from the title game on Monday, which included my alma mater, was between $44 to $48 million between Notre Dame and Alabama.
That would be split between Notre Dame and is it the Crimson Tide? Is that right? Alabama?
Alabama.
Don't remind me.
Roll Tide.
Yeah. But they won. So they would split that money.
That's correct.
And you're saying there is such huge amounts of money involved that at least some of it should go to the players in the form of a form of pay. You approve of this?
I do.
But look, it's a limited thing, isn't it? It's a stipend.
That's correct.
That doesn't amount to a couple of million a year now, does it? I mean, you're talking a couple of thousand?
It's spending money. And the argument goes that the time demands of being a student athlete in a high revenue generating sport such as football or basketball, you don't have time with practices, schoolwork, travel to away games. You can't have a part-time job.
Well, why should an athlete who is generating millions of dollars in revenue for your employer, the college, why should they have to scratch around for spending money? I mean, that's the argument, isn't it?
I mean, that's why a peripheral benefit of this stipend is that you're going to limit the influence of unscrupulous characters, agents and boosters, who prey on student athletes that come from lower income backgrounds by offering them inducements and gifts. By offering these athletes stipends, you're going to really limit the influence of these unscrupulous characters.
All right, let's go.
Isn't there's a moral issue here? You've covered the practicality of it, but there's something obscene about athletes from lower income families, they may be African American, who are working their keisters off for millions of dollars listen, here's the number. Over the last 7 years, the budget at a single school in one of these conferences, $80.4 million. It's doubled over 8 years, and these kids get nothing from that. It seems to me there's a moral issue.
Oh, I agree. Look, I agree with that. I'm sure Eugene does as well. But okay, we've got the issue of the stipend, right? Everybody agrees.
Not enough.
Pay them a stipend. Okay,
not enough.
Now
pay them a salary.
Okay, now that's the next question. Do you approve of full salaries for these guys, millions of dollars for college athletes? You approve of that?
I do not. I think that you're going to run into a slippery slope argument. If you pay these individuals, these athletes, based upon their performance, based upon their play on the field, how do you differentiate? Do you pay a higher profile player more than a lower player? Do you pay the star quarterback more than an interior offensive lineman? That's the slippery slope you get into.
If Eugene Lee had his druthers, how much would you pay college athletes, football players? How much?
I'd pay enough where they could enjoy the full cost.
Don't give me that. How much? 50 grand, 100 grand, 25,000, 2,000 a month. What is it?
I would pay them 2,000 a month.
2,000 a month?
Yes.
That's not much when you got a college budget of 80 million.
These kids deserve real salaries.
Yeah,
They're doing the heavy lifting.
So you're saying they should not participate in the big money that's available to colleges for football?
You're going to run into an issue then with sports across the board, and this has been discussed too. Do you pay more to higher revenue generating sports such as football and basketball, or do you pay less to sports such as volleyball, golf, cross country?
All right, Charles Payne, hold on a second. The man here says pay him a stipend. Maybe pay him $2,000 a month in the form of a salary. Okay, but don't pay him the really big bucks. You used to play football. What's your opinion?
I think you got to pay him more than $2,000. You don't pay him, like
3?
I'm not sure
5.
what the number is.
Come on, I want a number.
You got to pay them more than $2,000 because they're still vulnerable to those unscrupulous people that you talked about. That's still not enough, and it still doesn't reflect Jerry's argument either. Now, if Chris Cotter was here, he would say they're getting a $50,000 or $100,000 education. You got to add that into the equation as well. Those are for people who counter this. But I've always believed that they should be paid something, and I think it's got to be more than $2,000.
Why can't you let the market work? Why can't you let colleges bid for players? I'll give you $10 million a year. You want to be my quarterback?
That's kind of
Come
like
on
what they
in.
do now, because they have these supreme programs, and you go through these programs, you have a chance of going to a top draft when you get drafted by the pros. So essentially, it's a bidding process now without the money. But then there are these boosters behind the scenes who really dole out some big time
dough. The key point, Stuart, is that full scholarships do not cover the full cost of attending college nowadays.
Right.
Meals are not included, trips home, clothes.
So you're saying
A ride, you gotta give 'em a
stipend
ride.
is legit, but you won't go as far as a full market-oriented salary.
I think you make it even across the board. You remove the slippery slope.
I'd love to hear what our viewers think about this, because look, I'm a total outsider to college sports in America. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I know markets, okay? So chime in on Facebook or Varney at foxbusiness.com. I want to know what you think. Should we let the market work? Should we offer competitive salaries to college athletes, yes or no? And we'll get back to this next week.